Well, hello there, everyone. Here to show you the course credit hours of client activity right here, and basically this right here will be example right here of me right here. And let's just say if I were to be doing some studying, doing studying, and based on this activity right here is talking about if it's going to be for like for a student Dropbox, or if it's like for credit hours as well as paid and along with earned. But knowing about that for like emails, so that thinking about for any students that participate in any school events or if anything like that, and just understanding about for credit hours. And I went do right here as an example right here of a school building right here, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did not write school up above, but I'll go ahead and write right here, school right here. This was an example right here of a school building. And then this right here will be an example right here of a financial aid office, and of course it could be another office related to like for student financial aid, or like any other type of office. But basically that knowing and understanding about for credit hours. And I thinking about like yeah, that a number of things that think about. It's like for like for credits, to where that I'm like yeah, for any students that may wonder that like whenever we go to college, that whenever we look at the grade report, that the one question that maybe we would ask is that to where that if you make money, like if you make money at school. But I guess that's kind of a yes or yes and no answer, to where yeah, but then and those benefits, those credit hour benefits, of course they depend on how well a student does, and as well as part-time or full-time. But these estimates right here, I wrote right here, I've known about for 83.41, and along with the list for below and above, and 87.51 right here for 20 credits. But knowing about like yeah, I'd like for 83.41 is like for 15 credits, and altogether that if they were about maybe 8,111 credits, and then for 11 point, I guess if it goes by 11.1 credits, to where that the maximum for how high it goes to. And for knowing about the yeah, from the first 2 or 3 weeks of classes, that the score was about this many, until you went back down and went back up to a 91, and then it went to 100%. But I'm sure that knowing I went and got that highlighted like in like a gold color here. But you have right here is like for like a 47.89. And if anybody wonders, that I'm like yeah, that usually that for that type of score, to where that I'm like we might have known about, I'm like exactly means fail. But I'm like, well, on the other hand, thinking about, I'm like, what does that mean, to where do you get any credits even if you failed the class? I'm like, you turn things in, but then some things that were missing, or not done correctly, and like wondering that if you still earn credits. But yeah, and the negative 2 basically mean to where I'm like yeah, that you were close to earning those many credits, about the 5 credits or maybe the 10 credits that were available. And but no, it's like it wind up slipping, and then a few things that were missing too, so then didn't do so well. But let's just say that we're, for most time with most credits, to where that I'd say I'm like yeah, that maybe that not all of them are granted, especially to where that thinking that for a student that they spend so much time in the classroom, and then thinking that they turn in their work, and then don't do so well. But I went ahead and wrote right here, like example right here of an email, and thinking about with most email services, to where I'm like yeah, I may mention before, to where whenever I was young, I want to have my get my own mail. Every time I would get a letter in the mail, I was thinking about, oh yeah, it's maybe the grandparent writing me, or something related to maybe a birthday card, like I explained before. But on the other hand, that you have right here is like for like a student Dropbox, and I wrote right here for like for like a work for like a student Dropbox, and I wrote some examples right here of like an email, to where if there was like an email link at about right here, to where that if you got an email for anything that was related to maybe renewal, or forms that need to be signed and returned using the electronic email. And thinking that I'm like yeah, that the things that more likely a student could be doing while they were, like, for any credits, that's like knowing about, for credits earned. But let's just say on average to where that I'm like, yeah, is this money that basically that student can earn while they're going to school, and then with those credits, if they do earn them, if they do redeem them, that knowing that I'm like, yeah, that they can buy books, and then maybe have for like any savings or so, it's like at the bookstore or something like that they can actually buy books, or whichever that they were shopping for. And I'm like, yeah, that they may say that that all depends, but then on their hand too, it seems like, well, you need to be a good boy, or you need to be a good girl. But on your hand, at knowing about that for whole purpose about, it's like for a study time, to where that for right here are some examples right here of an email, and like say for congratulations for credits, and then along with the email it says, yeah, you completed this, and now you can receive this. You're now eligible for this many credits. To earn your credits, go to this site. And I know that whenever I put this together, I was thinking about, I'm like, yeah, for never mind. What does never mind basically mean whenever people say it? It's like, does that basically mean to where that for never mind, the way people that may say it, like, hey, can you please, if they're on the computer, can you please log in? Well, I just gave you that information. Never mind. But on the other hand, that with never mind, it basically means to where that to where that next. I guess it means to next not necessary. It's like yeah, that to where that there was there was an idea to where that yeah, it's like you try to work on something and be like, oh that's not necessary, next, okay, forget it. I guess if it means basically to where that forget it, or maybe this does not need to be, is not a concern right now. But on their hand, that I'm like, for any student that's in class is thinking about, I'm like, yeah, that the amount of frustration that they may have to where that I'm like, whenever they're trying to log on and be like, and they're taken to a page, and then after that, and then they're directed back to the sign-in for like, and hey, I just gave you that information, and like, but it's like after about maybe one or two clicks, and then it's like, and then you're logged on. But let's just say that whenever I was young, that want to have, it's like talk about, say, for experience to where that knowing about how all this stuff works, and just thinking about by the time you get used to it, and thinking about, I'm like, really, that really, is there really anything really to complain about? If you get used to it and knowing about how it works. But on the other hand, that you have right here is like me right here sitting on a nice comfortable seat, and I can remember that whenever I was in high school, I can remember that not all the desks, of course, were very comfortable. So it's like thinking about, it's like if you're going to be doing some studying, it is, and thinking that I'm like, yeah, that a lot of times that they want you to sit at the desk that they provide, but then for any study time or something, that basically say, hey, you can sit wherever you want, on the table, or maybe on the floor, or maybe on a couch, somewhere, just do your homework. But on the other hand, that thinking about, I'm like, really, that for the credit hours that more likely that could be earned, to where that I'm like, yeah, that for they may say that maybe that there could be like a game in particular, to where a student can play and kind of get an understanding about what they need for so far as study notes, and as well as assignments. So the way I think about, though, is that knowing about with credits, to where that I'm like, yeah, are they basically benefits to where a student, after you earn them, after you graduate, you have to have a certain amount just to graduate, or just to be able to earn points or something, just to buy something at the gift shop or something like that. But let's just say that with these credits, though, to where if a student were to think about, well, they are participating in a lot of the courses and completing the courses. One of those could be is to where maybe credits, or maybe to show others about the best, for what they can do. But then I don't know. I'm like, if we ever heard of that, to where knowing about, if they were doing it, just to go ahead and say that, yeah, that for being a student, to where that I just like to learn this, so that way I can teach somebody else the basic skills, or maybe if it's just to kind of get the hang of, just to check it out. But I'm sure that. The way I think about, though, if a student, the way how it works, to where some students that may say that, yeah, well, yeah, you start earning credits whenever you first start working, and thinking about, I'm like, yeah, they're not no, 100 or so credits right away. Some of them that could only be about maybe 4 credits, and maybe about 8 or maybe 20 credits altogether from the first few weeks of class. But let's just say that that knowing that you have right here are, like I say, all these credits right here, and with these credits, to where the highest it goes to where I'm sure they think about, yeah, up to at least 500 credits are offered. Not 5,000, not 7,000, but I just put those to where that I'm like, yeah, that if anybody like me, to where if they're thinking about working on maybe working for their master's degree, and thinking about, I'm like, yeah, well, if how many credits do we think that would be? And I'm thinking that it would probably be about at least 500 credits, maybe 1,000 or so, but on average, to where that I'm like, like any student may think that really that they encourage anybody to try not to count on it a whole lot, to where it's like, think about doing well in school, and as well as passing the class. But like I mentioned before, but just thinking about, I'm like, yeah, that anybody who's just getting started, to where thinking that yeah, I don't know what that means, like I don't understand about what are credit hours, and in that, for like the student Dropbox, it's like you have right here's the Dropbox, and basically for any student that's going to use it, to where kind of like a mailbox, to where that anything that's that needs to be sent to another center, or maybe another address, and then it's returned to that same Dropbox, to where a student or whoever that needs to receive it. So basically, that they more likely say that there may be some schools that may give you credit for that, to where it's about maybe 10 points or so, just if it's going to be a survey, or maybe if it's going to be anything related to maybe helping them improve for system upgrades or something like that. So with these credit hours right here, and knowing about, I'm like, really, is it basically money that maybe a student is earning, to where that anybody that I'm thinking about, yeah, well, whenever you were in school, that they called them points, they didn't really call them credits, to where that I'm like, yeah, whoever earn enough credits would get a free ice cream, or maybe if it was anything about maybe movie movie time, if it was like movie hour or something like that, a student would be able to watch a movie, or maybe play a game or something like that. But on the other hand, for credit hours, to where that if it's going to be like for paid credit hours, and knowing that I'm like, yeah, that and if anybody were wondering, that I'm like, really, does this really exist for for financial aid, to where I'm like, yeah, right here's the financial aid office, and think about it, really, that it all depends. But I guess if they really want an honest answer, and just think about, yep, for give it at least 1 year and see what happens. But you have right here also is that I'm going to describe it here are stairs, and if any student that may wonder that, I'm like, with stairs, though, that I included this right here just to be like, yeah, with stairs, that anybody who's not used to going into a school building, or maybe a hospital or somewhere, to where that thinking that tax office, to where that there's going to be split floors. And I can remember whenever I was a kid that used to like saying that about, you want to you want a house where you have stairs that go upstairs, and you want stairs that there were stairs. The house where I grew up at, of course, at a few places where I lived at, to where they had stairs going upstairs, and then they had stairs going downstairs. And for whatever reason, I kept thinking about, I'm like, yeah, including an elevator. Anybody say, yeah, at the doctor's offices, to where I'm like, yeah, you thought it was pretty fun. Getting on an elevator was like, I say, like if you like that, it was like a ride to you that you kind of enjoyed, and being like, hey, And don't be using it just to be playing around. It's like people more likely need that just to get around through the building. But you have right here as an example right here of me right here. If I was in the financial aid office, trying to turn some, trying to make a payment or something like that, or just to get updates about what's going on through the academic year or something like that, and thinking about that you go into a building, if it's maybe to file your taxes, whichever it is, now I included this right here. It just showed right here was me, and like thinking that anybody say that you get directions and they say, yeah, that will be on the 87th floor, or that would be on the 5th floor, or yeah, go up the stairs and it'll be on your right. You go up, it's upstairs on your right, or it's upstairs on the left, and being like, there may be some students that may not be used to it, to where that they may think that I'm like, okay, I don't understand what does that mean? What do you mean upstairs, or what do you mean downstairs? So anybody who maybe that if they grew up in a house to where that maybe that there was only the downstairs. I can remember for a while. I can remember a downstairs and a little bit of the upstairs floors too. But it's like anybody that walks into a building and thinking about, I'm like, yeah, that maybe they're able to tell just by the way that the carpet, the carpet or the tiling is laid, is placed, to where that to where that one time, this, of course, I tell anybody, this is a true story too. So I went into the library one time, and it was like, I never, the libraries I went to back when I was growing up, of course, they didn't have those split floors, but it was just the main floor. So whenever I went into this one library, that I can remember that it was like, that there was, they were talking about, that, look up at, towards the ceiling and see that there was like there was a second floor. But in a lot of ways, I just thinking about, I'm like, anybody is like wondering that, I'm like, you get directions, and they say that, it's upstairs, it's upstairs on, across the hall or something. Like, okay, well, what do you mean? Oh, upstairs? Okay, where are the stairs? Okay, so if anybody wondering, I'm like, yeah, exactly. Anybody who's maybe their first year, or maybe just getting used to everything, is just thinking about, I'm like, yeah, that they ask, it's like, oh yeah, it's upstairs. Well, where's the upstairs? Well, go around the corner, it's on your left, or straight ahead down the hall, and you'll see the stairs right there. So, and even over where I worked, of course, they got upstairs, and then there, and then places where you shop, that more likely that they may have escalators that go upstairs and go downstairs. But it's like whenever I was a kid, that I used to a lot of times always think to where I'm like, yeah, even at the schools, the elementary schools that where I went to, that they had stairs. They weren't this big actually. It was only a flight of about maybe 4 stairs, about 4 or 5. I would say about 4 or 5 steps, about right here. 4 or 5 steps. There would be stairs going downstairs, and there were stairs going upstairs. So they weren't that big. So it was like go upstairs, and they had split floors, on some of the schools and a few buildings that we go into, and thinking about, I'm like, you go pay a bill, and it's like, a building like these right here, to where more likely that there's going to be split floors. And anybody that may wonder that, I'm like, yeah, that why is it that not everything's on the main floor? But I just really think that if anybody that think about, maybe to talk to the architectures that may that design the buildings, or maybe the constructionists, that they whenever they design the building, that I guess that they say that hey, that we built this building and think of that with split floors, to where do they necessarily design the building to where it makes it harder for anybody who's going in there to take care of something? Do they necessarily design it to where they you were able to walk up the stairs whenever you were able to walk to the entrance doors, right? Well, you shouldn't have any problem walking up the stairs, just to go from floor to floor whenever you go into the building. So it's like, I don't know if anybody wonders that, I'm like, yeah, that maybe why is it that not everything is all on one floor, to where that, that if for whatever reason that they can't use stairs, or maybe that it's harder to find the office, to where that there are some buildings to where that whenever you first walk in, I can go ahead and draw right here's a door right here, an entrance door to where it leads into one of the offices. But mainly whenever we go into a door that into one of these buildings, if it's going to be maybe to take care of the taxes, or maybe the title on property or something like that, to where they more likely would have split floors. Like for the insurance companies, when you first walk in there, I guess it's like the lobby, to where there's like maybe a cafe in there, and as well as maybe a few offices. But I guess basically that they say that they have split floors, I guess for a number of reasons. One of those is to give them more room, I guess, more room, and then for how much it's like knowing about the maybe that they're easier to find, because with split floors, to where maybe that the office and staff, that they have more room, to where if somebody if they need to have more room just to file the paper, it's like for any equipment that they may use there at the office. So really that if like wondering about wouldn't think that split floors would be so difficult, to where a lot of times that, especially at the medical labs, to where that they may have split floors, to where that that they're pretty easy to get to where like they have an elevator or stairs. Like the stairs, sometimes I'm sure they say the stairs are not that hard to find. Some places that there's about maybe 3 or 4 glides of stairs to where you can walk up and down. So just thinking about it, to where that introducing the stairs. Anybody that was saying about whenever they were 4 that they like thinking about the stairs. The stairs were not that small. I'm thinking about, I'm like, that they were. Say that whenever they were first introduced to the stairs, whenever they were about 4 years old, they're just thinking about, I'm like, that they were hard to climb up. Like I could, but just thinking about, I'm like, that if anybody were thinking about, I don't know if anybody would recommend to where that to be like the Jungle Boy, like you want to go ahead and climb a rope or climb a ladder, up to the 2nd floor, but you see it on some of those movies, to where I'm like, they're thinking about, I'm like, if they're doing construction on the stairs or something, and you're thinking about, that they're doing construction on the stairs, and they tell you that, either use the elevator, or we got a ladder you can climb up just to get to the 2nd floor. But anyway, if it's medical labs or whichever it is, but on your hand, knowing about it's like the difference between upstairs and downstairs. Like thinking about the carpet. The carpet feels a little bit different on the main floor, but then when you go up to the 2nd floor, then more like it's gonna be like go up to the 2nd floor, and it's gonna feel a little bit softer or something. But anyway, but on your hand, knowing about right here is talking about, say, for credits, and along with the dropbox, and then as well as for paid, and along with earning that knowing you have right here's an example right here of a mailbox. And I have right here's an example right here of a mailbox right here. And like wondering that anything that needs to be signed and returned, even after we graduate, and thinking about payments that need to be made to especially to the financial aid office, and wondering that really do students get any credits for that, for responding, for how well they respond, to where that sometimes places that they say that we need a response within 10 days, 10 business days, just to complete this, and thinking that, well, okay, well, getting the mail, and a lot of sometimes it's postal paid mail as well, but knowing about, I'm like, that for any credit hours that are earned, to where that anybody say that I'm like, with it's like between never mind, or if it's going to be like, oh, next, or hey, that please log in, like, and I just gave you that information, or if it's going to be anything related to papers, I'm like, well, please attach the paper, like, and I just sent those to you, like, and never mind. Oh, okay, well, it's well, as long as we're on the right track here. But anyway, but knowing about like for any credits, to where that I'm like, if anybody that wondered that I'm like, for credits, do they expire? And like thinking about, I'm like, usually that whenever you do graduate, to where that that's, I'm sure that's something to talk to the school or somebody about. But I'm like, I'm sure they say that it's that they're good for about 10 days, or they're good for about 30 days after graduation or so, that any credits that are earned. if any student that may wonder that I'm like, why is it that they have it to where if you wind up changing majors while you're attending school, and then as well as that to where that reasons to maybe why you've lost some credits in the course academics years in the past, to where that just thinking about I'm like, yeah, to where that knowing about I'm like, really that if it's a past due library book, or if it's a book that was not returned and never returned or something like that, to where they say that you may lose some credits for that, or maybe that there was a meeting that you were supposed to attend at a certain time and you were a few minutes late or something like that for that, and then they may take off some credits too. But for credit hours, is knowing about I'm like, anybody that may wonder that really the difference between a student loan and as well as credits, to where that basically that it means it's like it's points, to where you earn them and use them however you like within the school, or they may say that like I guess knowing about for financial aid, to where that I'm like, really would the financial aid would they maybe mail you a check maybe 3 years in 3 years from now, that they may say that by the year 2016 that financial aid could credit you to about credit each student for for the 20%. I'll just say 20%. I don't even know if it's going to go that high, but let's just say if it's about 20%, they're going to credit them 20%. If they're going to be on time with their payments and passing their classes, to where it's say for students for if it's going to be academic for any academics or something like that for the courses, to where that within the 5 months, to where if they say yep, if you did pretty well in one class, and then you earn enough credits, and as well as making payments on time, that more likely you could be qualified for up to 20% it's like credit back. So, and just thinking about I'm like, really that if it's really what you call true or false, to where that I'm like, really that they would pay you money for how well you do, and for thinking about I'm like that there's a time to where that you owe them money. But for here being for Christmas Eve, it is here on Thursday right here, and just thinking about is like for knowing about that with any credits, to where I'm like, yep, that anybody say that taking care of the responsibility as well as doing well in school, and thinking about necessarily about between financial aid as well as the school too. I'm like wondering that there may be some students that may be waiting for thinking about we're waiting for money to come back in, not money to come back out. It's thinking about whenever they started, that they may have had to get a loan, or maybe if it was anything else borrowed, and thinking about really about what more likely is considered ours. It's like anybody think about between yours, mine, and ours, or anything like that. But let's just say that for any student that may wonder, to where that you've done this so many times, to where you've seen money a lot of times coming in and out real quick. But how much money that's coming in, and how long is it going to stay in? And thinking that let's see what happens in 3 years from now. So maybe in 3 months from now, and if you want a better answer, let's see what happens in 3 weeks from now, and let's see what happens in 3 months from now. So altogether, that would be about 90 days. So you give these credit hours about 90 days, say per weeks or so, at least 90 days, and see what happens. But other than that, like I talk about right here, is talk say for the course credit hours, talk say color activity.